back to painting and decorating. Quick video here for you on preparing wood that's got knots in it. This job, we've got to replace all the skirting board, so it's going to be new wood, pine skirting, so there's a lot of knots in it. So I thought I'd do a quick video on how to prepare that wood for putting a water-based system on it. If you're using an oil-based, you might be able to put your knotting on and then straight off with your oil undercoat on your knotting. But with the water-based system, you put your knotting on and then put another coat of bin primer on top of the knotting, and then you can put your water-based paints on top of that. It's always better because knotting on its own, water-based paints don't really like sticking to it. Oil's not too bad. So I'll just show you the process. Just before we start, different types of wood, you have different types of effects with paints. Some wood, you've got resins in there which can bleed out and actually stain your paint. So you're better off checking what type of wood you've got and then what process you need to do to seal that in, because different primers do different things. So you might just get a wood primer but it won't actually hold a stain back. Bin primer is pretty good for all types of conditions and wood, apart from exterior, so then that's when you need to look for something else. On the side of some of the tins, like on this one, there's a table and it tells you what primer to use for what surface. In the Zinsser range, so you've got Bin Aqua, Bin Bullseye 123, Bullseye 123 Plus, and Cover Stain. So it's worth double checking what product you need for what type of wood you're going to do, or substrate that you're going to paint. Really good. Right. When you look at the knots, you can see there's little holes, and that needs filling. So really what you're better doing is filling that before you put any of your primers on. If you put fillers over bin, it usually will fall out over time. It can loosen. It's not a very good surface for holding fillers against. So like I say, fill the holes first and then start your process, because it'll leave a better finish in the end. You've got to fill them at some point. So if you start filling them at the point where you've put your primers on and you're knotting, you're sanding back, which then you're going to go through that in coats, and the knotting will then bleed through. So fill them beforehand. I'm going to leave them as they are, and I'll show you what they look like when we've finished if you don't fill them. Make sure you always wear some gloves when using methylated spirits, sandpaper and other things that are going to hurt your hands. Now, just give the area a light sand. With a nice piece of sandpaper. This is P180. It's not going to leave any marks in the wood. And then dust that off. And then you can wipe it over using some methylated spirits and a cloth. And what that does, it just pulls the dirt out of the grain, any sawdust, any dust from the sanding. that evaporates really quick. So give that 10 minutes and then you're ready to put your first coat of knotting solution on. If you're going to varnish the wood, always use clear knotting. If you're going to paint the wood, you can use the darker knottings. Give it a good shake up. You always get the sediment settling to the bottom. Using a small brush, apply your knotting, making sure you go over the sides of the knot by a little bit, otherwise it can creep round. And make sure you lay it off nicely. You don't want any lumps in there because it will show through to your top coat, because you don't sand that. So we'll allow that to dry now for at least 40 minutes. Ready for its second coat of knotting. It's always easy to apply knotting to a flat surface and a vertical surface. Got to make sure you don't get runs on a vertical. Again, leave that now 40 minutes and then you're ready to put on your bin primer. That knotting has dried off now. If you was going to use an oil-based primer over that, you're better leaving it a couple of hours. Because I'm using bin primer, which is methylated spirits anyway, you only need to leave it 40 minutes. But then leave the bin primer 2 hours before you put your finished paints on top, water-based, or primer, water-based, and then primer undercoat, primer gloss, or satin finish, whichever. So, using bin primer, I always have 2 tins. One is my working tin, and I'll put that in a can. This stuff evaporates that quick. You're better having the least amount of surface area for it to evaporate from. That's why I keep it in there. So give it a really good stir up, and it only needs 1 coat over that knotting now. And this gives your water-based paints a better grip on that knotting. It's a similar product, but with the pigment in it, it helps with the adhesion of your undercoats to it. This is a pure bristle brush, and I always keep mine in a plastic container with a little bit of methylated spirits in there. Just keep topping it up, and it stays soft, so you just can take it out at any point you need it and use it. Now again, with this stuff, you've got to be very careful not to leave loads of lines in it. Just get it on, spread it out and leave it to dry. Like I say, that's enough paint on there now with that. That doesn't need any more sealing. That's had 3 coats of sealer. I'll give you a closer look in a minute, but you can see all the indentations, the holes now showing up. Again, if you put filler on there now, it can come out from this shellac based primer. So I always prefer putting my filler on first. You can undercoat it and then do your filler, but again, putting some on first really does help. I'll give you a closer look at that. There you go, you can see all the little holes. So, I hope you enjoyed that video. and I'll see you in the next one.